Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for Friday, April 21st. Um, Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate all of your support to this channel. I love the comments. The thumbs up are wonderful. Thank you for continuing to watch me. And if you're new to this channel, welcome to the Soulprint community. Okay, so there's a couple of things. I'm going to do a sort of a channel slash maybe pendulum reading today because there's sort of a bunch of different things I kind of want to touch base on. So the first one I want to look at is the whole defamation situation. So, not surprisingly, Fox settled $787.5 million. But it was really interesting because I don't know, the other day, I came across a video on that Midas Touch. Yay me, look at I got it right this time, Midas Touch Network. Um, and they were doing sort of a rundown of the kind of money that Fox has paid out, settling stuff. So they recently settled with some gentleman, I think in Venezuela, who they had tied into the whole, stolen election deal. Um, and they recently paid, and I don't know if it was to him or somebody else, that they recently paid out like $500,000 um, for another kind of scandal that had been created. So the reality is, do we actually think? Um, they're gonna change? Probably not. They may start looking for a scapegoat or 2. Um, but I do wanna ask Spirit to sort of give us a bit of a heads up or some clarity on what's coming because, of course, they still have that Giuliani and Sidney Powell and Smartmatic. Like, there's a whole lot that still is left of that whole defamation situation. So if Spirit could give us some clarity on what we can anticipate, that would be very helpful and appreciated. Spirit, can you tell me about Fox and all of the defamation suits stemming from the big lie from the 2020 election? The kind of higher consciousness, understanding, clarity, and energy that is required to move up to the next vibrational level is at this point not present in the Fox Corporation and its subsidiaries or other companies. It's not part of their energy, it's not part of their mindset. And so for now, they will continue doing audacious things, outrageous things, and then just paying the price for it. So in some ways, for Fox, um, the price they have to pay is not as important to them as the viewers and what they want to hear or the kind of scandals that they want to talk about. You can, though, however, anticipate some pushback um, from shareholders, from board members, that kind of thing, because this was so outrageous. So they are going to continue to settle out of court. Okay, don't anticipate one of these cases actually going to trial. It also looks like at this point in time, Smartmatic is going to use the same sort of roadmap that Dominion used, which would then allow them to release all kinds of information prior to, right? And this is the thing that it's important to remember. The amount of information that was released beforehand with their court filings was tremendous. In many ways, y'all got like about 75% or 80% of the story. Okay. So yeah, there were some still details that would have been nice to see and see some of the, stuff that was behind redactions. But the reality is a lot of that had already been, a lot had already been released. And that was Dominion's intention. And Smartmatic is probably going to carry that same like roadmap because it proves to be very, very effective. So what they're doing is they're getting the truth out you know prior to the trials because it's a civil case and civil cases settle. They settle at a court. So that sort of takes me to the Jean Carroll uh, court case, which is coming up like next week. I think it's the 25th. So again, this is a civil suit. Do we think um, she's going to settle? Do we think Trump is going to settle? It feels very much as if that's going to be another situation where they take it right to the line, but they're not winning with the judge. The judge is being, very firm about how things are going to be conducted in that courtroom. And the Trump team is not making any headway. And the thing to remember is, the words he said were insulting and rude, and there is a defamation component to that. But let's not forget, he's also charged with rape or a sexual assault. What I'm not sure what the so that's a problem, right? And I think that his lawyers are going to say, yeah, sign off, pay it out. Do not do this. You do not want to go to court. You need to pay it out. So right now, energetically, um, it feels very much like Trump and his lawyers got very, very spooked by the kind of payout that um, Dominion received. And, I think there is a recognition that almost like no matter what it costs, this is one of those things where he can't double down on because he can't go to court. He can't testify on his own behalf. He can't, um, get up on a stand. He can't take the publicity you know, etc. And by the way, women out there are going to appreciate this. I think it was the New Yorker magazine, but they had a picture of E. Jean Carroll wearing the dress that she had been wearing when this sexual assault took place. And it was like a bunch of years ago. And I was looking at that thinking, wow, I wonder if I would fit into the clothes I wore when I was like 30. Anyways, I digress. But so this is not going to be a situation where it's actually going to end up taking, I think, a lot of court time. It feels very much like, yeah, that it's just going to end up getting settled because then that way they can further minimize the the media attention. They can further minimize any more information coming out. So, that's what I'm getting from Spirit at this time. That one also looks like it's going to settle, unfortunately. Okay, let's take a pop at DeSantis. I mean, good God. Does this not he's going after Mickey Mouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is he thinking there? He has all these like advertising stuff going out about how he never backs down. That's going to be the phrase he uses. He still haven't announced for president. He's still mimicking the vast majority of, who, the former guys, um, attitudes and statements, etc. So, policies, if you can call them that, because they're not really policies. Um, But he continues to mimic that. And, Spirit has said it before. The only one who's actually going to be able to beat him is somebody who literally comes out against him and says the opposite of what he is saying. Because, and this is the problem for them, right? They're trying to tap in to that base, that 25%. And for reasons that I don't think anybody can understand, and certainly the Democrats hope, that no one's prepared to do that, because as long as no one's really prepared to push back really hard, um, the GOP is going to end up with Trump. And that's, as much as none of us want to subject ourselves to, a campaign of the crap, um, it puts Biden in a very, very strong position. I heard something yesterday morning that was fascinating. Um, Apparently, when Joe Biden was running for president for 2020, he raised almost $1 billion in donations, and the vast majority of them were from small donors. That is remarkable. Like, you think about that for a second. That is a lot of money. And that, I don't know, is it still sitting in a pack somewhere? Very possibly, or in a campaign fund somewhere. Um, but so that's going to also be, come into play. And it's going to be interesting to see if Trump has to start paying out stuff, where that money's actually coming from. Because for the most part, it is his PACs that are paying the lawyer bills. It is, that's all coming from them. This stuff's not coming out of his own pocket. And in some ways, that's too bad, right? Because that potentially would have the effect of kind of slowing down some of the crazy. But because he doesn't suffer any political adversity, and because basically it doesn't come out of his pocket, there's nothing to stop him. And so he is going to continue to spiral. The GOP, meanwhile, they're telling me, is they're kind of panicking, right? For a couple of reasons. One, the pro-Trump people in the Republican Party are really pushing. Now, granted, a lot of what they're pushing is insane, but they continue to push. And frankly, they're the ones who are getting the airtime because what they're doing and saying is so outrageous. And yeah, you know what? The Dems are pushing back. I mean, those hearings are nothing more than the Dems putting these people in their place, and that's frankly really nice to see. The Dems need to step up. They're sort of it's like a counterpunch. They need to continue to really stay on top of the stuff that is being said and continually course correct, and put their agenda front and center. And we all probably could be really, really enjoy a bit of a bloodbath. But I don't see that happening. I see the Dems sort of continuing to follow the path because let's face it, it has proven successful for them. And with the likes of DeSantis out there, um, you know, he's making it really easy. Okay, he really is. I mean, the vast majority of people, I suspect, even in Florida, are kind of done with this guy. Now he's threatening to put up like a prison right beside the happiest place on earth. What the hell? So you know what? As far as he goes, energetically, the power is diminishing around him. It's draining off of him. And the GOP appear to be frantically searching for someone who can step in. So, question is, are they likely to find someone? Spirit. What Spirit is saying is so far. There is no one who has been able to or will be able to um, switch the narrative and constantly correct him. Now, there is a gentleman, his first name is Asa, and I don't, Hutchinson maybe, I don't remember his last name. I think he was a governor somewhere. He apparently has announced and he's in the race, and he's sort of looking for the mainstream Republicans. The problem is the former guy is what he's really good at it, whether we like it or not, of sucking up all the oxygen. So it's going to be difficult for this gentleman to really, counterbalance that. Um, so that seems to continue to be unknown. And as I have said before, I mean, I think that um, Trump is going to be in so much legal peril as this goes forward. Um, but as of right now, unless the GOP really start to push back in any sort of significant way, he's going to end up being their nominee just because nobody has the backbone. It's going to say something else. To stand up to him. So that's sort of where they're at. So what is the GOP thinking? How are they coping with this? And what's the story with Mitch McConnell? Um, so old Mitch is back. He's back at the Capitol or back in Kentucky, wherever he is, and he's doing his thing now. He's returned to work. Um, and so that is, he's tired. When I step into his energy, he's really weary. Um, and it is it's taking a lot of his life force, but there is a part of him that is just hell bent and determined. If uh, you know the people who are attached and cheering for that former president, um, he really doesn't want to sort of leave the party when they're in that state. Whether he actually is able to move things around right now, when he thinks about it and he sees what's going on, the thought is exhausting for him because we know, like 85% or 80%, whatever it is, of Republicans wish Trump would shut up, sit down, and go away. Okay. But nobody will say that. And so, as talk about spineless, for God's sakes. So, if the GOP continue to be this spineless, it's going to be very, very difficult even for somebody who is as politically savvy, and he is, even though we don't like it, as Mitch McConnell, because he's not going to be able to convince his troops to stand up. And you know what? There's not a lot of sympathy energetically because he had the chance twice to find Trump guilty of the impeachment and get him out of office, and he didn't do it. And so this has now become his cross to bear. And unfortunately, this is also going to be part of his legacy. Okay? Because you know what? You can do 35 years of really amazing stuff. According to Republicans, but if in the final analysis you allowed your party to become destroyed and fragmented and fractured and broken, that legacy is also going to be part of what's remembered about him. And I don't know that that's all that flattering. Okay. So, the other interesting thing is that Biden has not announced yet, but he's biding his time right now. There isn't a lot of chatter about anybody also running against him. I mean, there's mumblings about how we need somebody younger and like that. But I want Dems and independents and Republicans to really start thinking about what would have happened without somebody with his vast experience in the Oval Office. And, it, in some cases, I think your country would not be where it is right now, right? I just don't see it. The recovery would not be in place. Okay. Okay. Let's ask a couple pendulum questions, shall we? Is Trump and his legal team likely to settle on the Jean Carroll defamation assault case just prior to it going to court? Yes. It's a pretty strong yes, too. Okay. Um, DeSantis continues to lose the support of the big donors because even the big donors are saying he's out of control. I mean, he's fighting with a mouse, for God's sakes. And what's worse is the mouse seems to be outmaneuvering him. Is DeSantis going to sort of fizzle out? Is he going to continue to get traction? No traction. Hang on a second, please. Okay. Is DeSantis actually going to end up announcing that he's running? Okay, yes. Are the big donors going to continue to pull away from him? Yes. Apparently, when he went to Washington, um, a lot of Republicans just tore a strip off him about the way he's behaving and the stunts he's pulling. And in fact, he's not making it easy for anybody. I mean, that 6-week abortion ban, he's fighting with Mickey Mouse. Um, he doesn't want certain things said. He's screaming about how this is where woke goes to die. Convinced that that's where woke should go to die. I think that the people of Florida are probably more broad-minded than he appears to be. And he is really showing that he is not ready for the big leagues. He doesn't have the temperament. I mean, he's never, ever going to sit in that Oval Office. Is that correct? Is Ron DeSantis ever going to sit in that Oval Office? Mm-mm. He's not. He is not. Okay. Mm. Is Kevin McCarthy going to be able to hang on to his leader of the Republican Speaker of the House role? Um, is he going to be able to hang on to that through the end of this year? Okay, and that's a no. It's a bit of a wonky no, but right now it looks like a no. Okay. Um, is Mitch McConnell going to complete this term? Is he going to still be in office at the end of this term? He's going to be older than God by then, I swear. Is he going to complete this term? And that's a no. Okay. Um, I have one more thing actually that I want to ask Spirit about, and that's about the whole gun situation. I mean, what? People are getting shot at because they ring a doorbell. People are getting shot at because they pull into a driveway to turn around. People are getting shot at because they got cars mixed up. They went to the wrong car. Which, by the way, I drive a black um, car. I must go to the wrong car at least once a week in a parking lot, okay? It's not that terrible a thing. People do it. And it's like she ended up getting shot in the face when she rolled down her window to apologize. What the hell's going on? What is going on? Spirit, what can you tell us about the out of control epidemic of gun violence in the United States and where this is going? This is a country that has a very, very sort of violent streak to it. They have completely bastardized the Second Amendment. They have taken it so far away from its original intention that it is going to be very difficult to pull that back. However, in the next election, if the energy moves the way it currently appears to be, um, the White House, the Senate, and the House are going to end up back in Democrat hands. The question is whether the people of the United States are going to give them enough of a majority that they will be able to push some significant, you know, reforms through. And the Senate, by the way, they have some hard work ahead of them because they're only holding the Senate by 2 seats now. But in the next election, 20 of their seats are up for reelection, and only 11 Republican seats are up. So they're going to need to hold on to their seats and yet take some from Republicans. And frankly, the way some of the Republicans have been behaving, maybe that'll be easier said than done. I don't know. But what they're saying is until there is enough push and force behind it, it's going to be very difficult to roll back stuff in a way that is holding, that is permanent, that can't just get reversed right away. But the Dems have learned a very valuable lesson about the difference between something that is a recognized normalcy or established law versus actually incorporating it into the law and solidifying it there. They're certainly learning that lesson with the abortion situation. But Spirit is once again reminding us that again, it is going to be the women and the younger generation who is going to significantly shift the balance of power, not only in the next election, but the one after that and the one after that, because they're not going to give up until this stuff it's not put back the way it was, it's fixed. Get it fixed. And that's what they want, and they're not going to really settle for anything else. So I guess you know what? You're in good hands. It's going to be okay. It might take some hard work. It's going to take some focus. It's going to take some determination, and it's going to take people paying attention and getting out there and voting, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a pathway to a calmer and saner and more prosperous United States. And they're saying part of the reason that the United States is going to be more prosperous is because there should be coming down the pike in the years not only a significant shift in terms of voter rights being reversed and protected, um, but that um, the prosperity is going to come because there's going to be tax corrections made. And so that whole trickle down theory that the Republicans jump and scream on um, is going to kind of be shattered. And there's going to be a rebalancing so that, frankly, the people who work and make the country strong get a better break. Okay, I think that's it. So listen up, right? It's Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy, the sunshine or the weather, whatever you've got going out. For a lot of people, it's kind of spring cleanup time. And so, um, you know, welcome the sun, welcome the longer days. We look for them and crave them all winter long. So they're here. So let's enjoy. And I think that's it. Just one more quick note. Two more. One, I am currently booking readings. There's a few in the first week of May, and the next week of May has a fair bit of availability. So if you're interested in that, email in the Dropbox below 888. Sorry, soulprint888 at gmail.com, and just send out a request and I will send you the information. And for my Canadian viewers who have been very, very patiently waiting for me to do a political reading, I am hoping to get that done early next week because, Trudeau is getting fired on left, right, and center. There's a lot going on there. And um, there is an election coming up in May, apparently, for a new premier in Alberta, and Danielle Smith is not doing well. She has spent, however, she's only been in office for, I don't know, like a handful of months, but she's managed to make a whole lot of enemies in that time and screw up in that time. So I am going to be taking a look at that. All right, enough of my rambling and babbling. Thank you very, very much for being here. Until next time, take care, be well, and I'll see you really soon. Bye bye.